I have with me our dear friend and the one who makes the baboons go crazy, Mr. Emil Cosman. For those who know, uh, he's known for coining the term baboons, and I like the way he uses it. Of course, he's an expert commentator on the Ukraine wars and geopolitics, but he also has, of course, a couple of books out. And I would like to get started, Emil, with you. First of all, thank you to come on the show. I'm truly privileged to have you on board.
Well, thank you very much, and my pleasure.
And so, how's the weather like in Michigan today? Is it getting
Warmer,
colder?
warmer than I would say usually it is, but we got 4 seasons. That's good.
Oh, that's good indeed. We were in the Michigan region in about 2014. We were in the Sleeping Bear Dunes area. Went to the Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. Uh, do you go in that direction sometimes, Sleeping Bear Dunes, or is it close to you?
Well,
Um,
that's one of my favorite areas actually in Michigan, and
yes,
that's
it's
one of
by
the
the lake. Yeah,
yeah, it's a lot of things to see over there in Leelanau Peninsula. Fantastic, Benzie
yes.
County and all that. That's very nice. Traverse City, beautiful area.
Oh, Traverse City, that is a fantastic place. The last time I was there, we bought some cherry wine because the whole region is famous for cherries. And yeah, we stopped at Traverse City, stayed the night for a couple of nights, and then we went on to Canada. That was a really fantastic trip. So a small introduction to Emil. Emil, you have a couple of books out. I will briefly share my screen just so that the audience can see. Pardon me, my mails. Yes. So you have a book. It's called God's Nature, 21st Century Critical Analysis of the Judeo-Christian Book. I think this from the year 2016. And I was wondering, how did you get to writing a book? I mean, that's one of the first questions that pops to my mind. What drove you to, uh, what was the driving force behind writing these books? And is it a long-held passion, or was it more of a response to something that you were currently noticing at that time in 2016?
Well, the goals or the reason why it's changed with time. I mean, from the family, it's been like an ABC. You have to write the book. You have to leave something behind. And it was internal. How should I put it? The urge, I would say, to tell the untold side of certain issues that we are taught since childhood. And I thought that the urge was a truth and justice urge. Since I was a child, I was driven by truth and justice. That's why Vlad the Impaler is my guy. He is my, I don't want to say idol, but one of them who influenced
Mm,
actually. But I think it's something internal from the family and what I saw around me. I thought something needs to be left there for whomever might stumble over.
correct. Hmm. So it's a bit like leaving behind a legacy, a story, a point of view, and something that others may notice. That's very interesting. And how did you, so in your book, A Better Society, your other book, A Better Society, We Should Create Promises, Viable Options and Solutions. What is the single biggest weakness you see in, let's say, modern society right now? And what is one viable option you propose that might surprise, let's say, our listeners?
I think honesty and courage. These are the principal attributes the society lacks. Not necessarily in general. I think courage and the desire to tell the truth, to solve problems, to improve, to get better. I think that in life, if you do not strive to get better, it's a waste. It is just you survive, and again, you have to share what you learned, your experience, your drive might inspire someone to do good things. And believe it or not, in my how should I put it, my life, I worked with a lot of teenagers in the capacity of an investigator, as a counselor, and the best the best satisfaction, the greatest satisfaction I had was when, after years, former I don't know how I should call them, people that were my not my patients, they were not my patients, people that I worked with. They came, I met them on the street, and they shook my hand and they told me how much I influence and I help them in life to change something. So I think we can help one another become better by, you know, sharing what we think is good, what we think is not as good. How did you acquire it? How did you get that one? So I think courage and truth. You need the truth and then the courage to implement the truth.
Mm.
And that's regarding the second book. The first book, regarding the God's nature, I'm not going to go into any dogmatic
Mhm.
anything. I think that it's necessary for some to look at a different portrayal of one particular God. That's all.
It's just to challenge a little bit the status quo, right? That's always needs to be done. I think it's a courageous piece of work. And how long did it take for you to write these books? Was it something that you worked over a couple of years, or is it something that you worked within, I don't know, a couple of days? Was it something that built up in a short notice, or was it a slow burn, like they say?
Mm, um, I always wanted to say something about the society and what my take on how a better society, according to, could be created. But I didn't have the means. I'm obviously an immigrant, and where I come from, that would have been very hard to accomplish. And it's been always inside of me. I had the opportunity to do it in the first one. I always want to write a book on that subject. It's changed a little bit the title, or but the urge was always tell the other side, or what I perceived as the other side. And
Mm.
I had the opportunity to consult three different Bibles provided by friends, and I had one as well. And the hardest part was to put it in writing, in typing. I'm not a typer, I'm a pecker
Mm.
typer. So I tried to dictate it, to write it. To write it. I have the manuscripts. That didn't take me long. That was
Mm.
like speed of light. The typing and that took me, I would say, about 2 3 years, because I let it
Okay.
go. I had other things to do in both of them.
Yeah.
But the urge, no, the urge could go like from A to Z. I start now, I can finish in a week. I can't stop
Oh, that's
talking.
fantastic. That's fantastic. That's really good. Once you have the drive and you want to do something, it can be done pretty fast indeed when there's plenty of motivation. Now, coming to one of our favorite topics, and both, mine, I watch your show a lot. Let's go into the wars right now. Okay, so we are in a very dicey situation. Put it however you want. It seems to me that with these incoming potentially tomahawks, what do you think happens? I mean, first of all, are tomahawks actually going to be used, or do you think they might at last minute sober up and pull back? Is that something that's happening, or do you think it's gone? It's over. They're going that way.
No, I think I work with probabilities and possibilities.
Correct.
Is it possible that they get delivered? Yeah, 100%. Is it probable?
Mm.
Well, I think that whomever makes a decision in the United States of America, and I don't think it's Donald Trump, who makes a decision on that, I think they're pushing like a toddler pushes a parent to see how far the toddler can go without being, I don't know,
Oh no.
reprimanded. and so on.
Correct.
So I think this is what's going on. They know, they've been warned by the Russians. If
Mhm.
you deploy them, they're gonna be operated by American personnel. That means there's no other doubt than or other response than responding to you directly, including the fact that the Tomahawk missiles can carry nuclear warheads. And the Russians said, when you launch one against us, we don't know which one it is. Is it a nuclear warhead? It's a conventional. So how should we respond? And the response was, we're going to go nuclear. I just read an article a minute ago regarding it's clear if the Tomahawks will be flying, not deployed, flying towards Russia, it's going to be a nuclear war. It
Oh.
depends. It depends when these guys sober up. I think the only way to sober them up is really uh, tweak them directly, not in Ukraine, but wherever they are. I'm not promoting anything, but these
Mm.
guys think that they are insulated wherever they are and they can play the game of war by not being affected, but affect countries, nations, civilizations, and so on.
Mm. So it's getting indeed very dicey. I believe the chances are getting very high, and I don't like that. And if indeed, one thing I really don't understand is why we keep giving, if Russia is indeed the West's enemy, final, let's say, enemy, why do we keep giving them the initiative? Because I find that even if they do not respond in a nuclear way, which is a big if, right? I don't know. I'm not certain. I don't know what Putin's feel like on that day if he gets attacked by Tomahawk. But I don't understand what is the reason behind this constant peddling and poking of the Russian bear. They keep doing it for the last 20 years. I don't understand why. Is it the balkanization of Russia? Do they really want it to collapse? Is that what it is? Or
I'm not an expert in Russia's history, but I
mm,
knew a few historical events and where the Russians see it as an attempt by the West to kneel it and plunder it and take control of it. You don't want a strong adversary anywhere. You want a weak adversary. Russia is a big country, big resources, big population. Now has nuclear weapons from Soviet Union. The goal is the West, not the West. The guys in charge of the West. We have to make a distinction between us, the
right.
baboons that we are, then the guys in charge of us, the elected officials, which actually are the um, public servants, and then the guys above them, the interests. So they want Russia's resources. They want Russia to be weak as economically. They have to have control of the Russian economy, and they will probably poison it um, ideologically and as a society. Traditions will go. They will implement what they implement here. I can identify as a unicorn right now, and this is the goal. The Brits, Great Britain's main goal, or England's main goal. I don't like to talk about Britain because you have to include, the Welsh, you have the Scots, you have the Irish. When
Yeah,
actually it's
correct.
the English right there. Unfortunately, I don't want to, insult anybody. Their prime policy was no strong country in the European continent. Divide and impera. That was the goal. And Russia is too big and is getting bigger. And as that song, I Shot the Sheriff, says, kill it before it grows. Russia is already there. And China and BRICS and India and all these guys, Iran, North Korea, the connection is already formed. This is the last train of the West. And they will be trying with the least energy they have. They try slowly and see how far it goes. They are lazy. They don't want to rock their boat as well as Putin doesn't want to rock his boat. He could
No.
clear things in Ukraine if he wants. He's having about 600,000 to 800,000 fighters over there, whatever they are, mercenaries, volunteers. He has the capacity, a 30 million potential if he does a general mobilization. He can just go like this. He's not. Why? If you do that, you have to destroy an economy. He doesn't want to rock the boat. That's
No,
why
of
these
course.
guys made sanctions. They want to have Russia implode, not explode. And that's what they try. Little by little, they try little things until they,
Mm.
even if Ukraine, let's say tomorrow, Ukraine becomes Russia. I don't think Russia wants Ukraine as like that. Why would you want people who now hate you in your country? Going to be about what? More than 30 million people in your country to do what? So I think even if this will end in Ukraine, something else is going to start in Georgia, in Azerbaijan, in Armenia. They will have to reach the goal. This is just a first round. I don't know how many there will be. They hope to, I don't know, nail it.
Mm. So these forever wars are promising to be forever, right? So they will keep going. I mean, all I've seen since at least 9/11, maybe because before that I wasn't paying attention and I was far too young. I was 15 years old, brand new in Belgium. And at that point, we saw 9/11 happen and then war after war kick off, right? And then, not that they didn't have war before that, but the one I could pay attention to. And then they kept going. It seems to me that the powers that be, whoever they are, the deep states in the US, in the West, here, and both sides, I guess, they do not want to rest with this ambition. So how does that change? Because if we are constantly being told that we're a democracy and that we need to elect our leaders, but our leaders seem to be doing exactly opposite of what we seem to be wanting, this seems to be either a mass psychosis of some nature that's going on in society, that they're not able to get the kind of leadership that they would like, or what do you think is really driving this? And how do we stop it? How do we put an end to it?
Well, it's power and profits. Simple. We are obviously mortal and we have a this much our lives, and then that's it, how much we can accumulate, let's say for from 30, because I don't get until you get 20 something, anyway, let's say 20 until I don't know 60, 70, and we die. These forces have been for generations, for centuries, some of them. We think that, oh no, there's a conspiracy theory. Do you think that these guys got together in a room and they discussed? They had hundreds of years to get together and to work within the same interest, which is power and control. They know who's the boss. It's not like they work through United States, through Great Britain, in Europe, and in Asia they use other little countries like little Japan and North Korea, South Korea. I'm sorry, I'm like Baerbock right now. No, it was Kamala Harris with North Korea, our friend. Yeah, so it's will not stop because we as humans want power and profits, and we have to do. Some people are already industries, banking system, military industrial complex, the energy sector, big pharma here more or less. They work. They have a tiger by the tail. In my podcast, I use a different term, but all right. So they have a tiger by the tail, and they can't let go because it's going to be someone else. It's not only the West. I know some people say, well, China is. No, once China will become stronger and stronger, and the other ones, the balance of power will be, then we'll see how China will really react. China has a very in the past, let's say, century, at least in 19th and 20th century, they had a lot of problems with the Westerners. A few countries in the West, a few countries, and always the same. Anglo-Saxons, as the guys in Russia call it, and they have a lot of frustration. I wonder when they will have the upper hand, how they will treat the Anglo-Saxons once the Anglo-Saxons will implode. I don't know how they will implode, but it's going to go on. That's our nature. It's just the if you look in history, obviously, it's just a different name and different time, but it's always it's the same thing. An empire grows, and then implodes or gets burned by another empire. Another empire. This is it, and this is one empire, the United States of America or the Anglo-Saxon, that is used by some interests.
Mm. And now with the rise of BRICS, do you see eventually, because I'm an Indian, I was born in India. Do you ever see India and getting to a point where it's a threat to the West? Because it's already, they already went, they burned a lot of bridges when they went with the sanctions, right? And I think right now India is being driven more to be neutral and to also deal with the Russians because they seem to be buying more S-400s and potentially the stealth fighters. And I think that's a good thing. But do you ever see that happening, that India becomes a target?
Well, it's always, I think it's, isn't that an Indian proverb? When the elephants fight, the grass has to lose the most, or something like that. So
Yes.
we have elephants who are fighting. India is an elephant but stays to the side. And
Uh,
India right now smartly says, I just want to do business. I want to be left alone. I want to develop. I want to become better and better.
it's
But
true.
once when India, these guys implode, how will India use? I know they have Buddhism, they have Hindu, and so on, Jainism, and so on. But still, I saw people who fight over there as well, ethnic fight,
Yeah, of
religious fight.
course.
So I don't know. India has the potential, land mass, it has nuclear weapons, it has 1.5 billion people. I mean, it has a good, in my assessment, I love Dr. Jay Shankar. For me, he's
It's
on a
pretty cool.
pedestal together with others that we're not supposed to like because the media tells us not to like them.
Not to like them.
And I like Modi. They say, no, let's get all together, let's cooperate. But it's hard,
Right.
power corrupts.
Yeah,
So I don't know. As the potential, and I think India with the BRICS so far held the line. And India says, I just want to do business to whomever I want in the interest of the Indian people. Jai
that's
Shankar
good.
said that. And these guys don't let them do that. They
No.
threaten them like their children. No, you do business to whomever I tell you, you impose sanctions to whomever I tell you. What is this? It is boss, subordinate. I don't think that's going to work. And India holds the line. I saw that it warms up, is that the word? Gets cozier with China. With Pakistan, again, I think Pakistan was activated not only towards India, now it's activated towards Afghanistan. It's a
Right.
war over there. These guys are talking about other things, but Pakistan has nuclear warheads. Afghanistan is right there. CIA has bases in Pakistan, and Pakistan gets a lot of money from the Americans. Pakistan is owned. So owned by these guys, more or less, more or less. I mean, they don't like to be independent. They don't like countries to be. They say, "Hey, you got to be sovereign and independent." No, that's not what it is. You know what it is? It's
And
you are as long as as far as I allow you. I hope India becomes a bigger player than it is, but it needs to stay right now with BRICS countries. I think BRICS is a good option, suggestion, opportunity for the world instead of having these guys. You go to a shoe store and you have only Adidas. That's it, one shoe. How about you have Nike? Or what about you have Asics? What do you have Puma?
mm,
I think it's good, the competition. And they tell us about the competition, democracy, freedom of speech, diversity in thought. Where is that at?
right.
Capitalism. No, it's controlled. Over there is socialism. Down here is wild capitalism.
Mm. It's a very interesting perspective indeed, and I see that as long as India stays its own path, I think it is too big population-wise, too powerful already. You can't really do much but to agree with it or disagree. Either way, they will mind their business. I was a whole month in India, I think a couple months ago, just on my holiday, and it was really an eye-opening experience. They're moving at a pace that is not seen in Europe, and I'm someone who lives 25 years in Europe now. They're building roads, bridges much faster than I've ever seen. Is there still corruption? Is there still a lot of garbage, a lot of different things? Yeah, absolutely. Uh, but one of the reasons why I started this podcast was to indeed inform the Indian audience from a Western perspective. how to actually avoid some of the pitfalls that we have in the West. Um, the over bureaucracy, the overtaxing of, because, yeah, I consider myself a centrist. I can listen to both directions, but in the end, we need to be practical, and Europe is not practical for business. That for the long term is not looking really good for Europe. Um, do you see, I mean, the amount of money that is being put into, do you think EU can continue like this? I mean, they want to spend €1 trillion in the next 5 years just on weapons. Do you think it's sustainable, or do they need to bring in austerity?
Uh, I'm not familiar with the figure. Are you talking about
The rearming of Europe,
the
because
euro? Oh
EU,
yeah, yes,
yes,
yes. Well, before that, would like to see your opinion on this. I think,
yes,
and you tell me what you think about this.
yes, go
From
ahead.
outside, and obviously you're
Mhm.
more experienced in this. In India, I think two Achilles heels are, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong. One, the religion's diversity and the ethnic diversity, which could be used to break India. Is that a factor? Do you think?
I think um that's one. Yeah, you can put it this way. Yeah, like we have a lot of cultures, a lot of different ethnicities. We do have a lot of different religions. And I think the attitude that the Indians and the Indian establishment has to take into consideration is that all Indians be treated equal. I think that's one of the most important things, like under the law, and go, and as long as you treat violence, rioting with a calm head, you're more likely to get things done than to reacting in a haphazard manner. Because, and I think they're getting this very well. Like, yes, it's a weakness, it's a potential weakness that can be exploited. And I see on TikTok and on Twitter some people in Austria and others calling for the balkanization of India already, because we don't subscribe to the sanctions, right? But I think it's very difficult to exploit that, even if they do. My suggestion for Indians and India should be to always be cautious. It's like, work against terrorism. They say they only have to succeed once, right? So I think India needs to adapt a very scrutinizing attitude when it comes to international politics. I don't say that they should trust everyone. I think they should be very cautious, especially with Western interests, and they can deal with it in a case-to-case reliable manner. I think if they have systems in place, they can avoid all kinds of issues. But yes, religion is a big potential Achilles heel to and cultural differences and language. I mean, you can use any of these very diverse topics to create
Water,
potentially issues. Yeah,
just water.
yeah, no worries.
Okay, well, very
But I
interesting.
think they have a very cautious approach. I hope they continue to keep it. I think this times the leadership that we have currently with Jai Shankar and all these guys, they're great in most aspects. Some aspects they need to get better. Um, Maybe in the way they message, maybe be a bit more, charitable to other minorities as well, if necessary, because they sometimes have the perception that, wow, okay, they may be a bit too, I don't know, anti-Christian or anti-Muslim or things like that. Maybe work on the perception. For me, it's important that people know that they have a government that there's looking out for everyone, and I think that's. Uh, but at least in India, I see that they take governance seriously. That's a welcome change in
That's good.
comparison to Europe. I mean,
That's
I,
good.
yes,
Regarding the question with the austerity and with the
yes,
arming of Europe, the European Union, I think, is in a takeover by the United States of America's industries and interests. Where are the Europeans going to buy the weapons from? From the Raytheons, from the Boeings, from the Lockheed Martin, from the Dynamics, whatever. It's from the Americans. Who's going to pay for that? Europe is not
We
working
are.
in a profit, in a deficit. So they're going to get loans. From whom? Well, we don't know. Some international banking system that we don't know the names. And who's going to pay for that with interest? We are going to. In this case, you, because you are in Europe. But I'm not going to take a profit out of this, Raytheon and all these arms manufacturing companies, private arms manufacturing companies. So it's a racket. I think it was von der Leyen who met Trump in that Scottish golf course, and she gave Europe on the silver plate to
Donald
what
Trump.
Trump represented, the American interests, like she was a king or queen in this case. I don't know if she was a king or not, but as a queen, she just gave it away. It was what, 850 billion euros in
It's
arming in the
absolutely,
first tranche,
it's
800
bonkers.
billion buying in liquefied natural gas, 15% tariffs America will impose on the European Union, but European Union
Oh
will not
man,
impose. This is vassalage. You're a vassal entity. And who came over there to talk? Von der Leyen. So they will buy that.
absolutely.
They will tell you that the energy costs more. Your standard of living will decrease. Everything will gonna get more expensive because why? Energy. When energy, the price goes up, everything goes up. They self-imposed sanctions by stopping pipe gas from Russia. They were told by the Americans, and they did it. And now they're buying the American liquefied natural gas at 3 to 4 times premium. More. Who would do
Absolutely.
this? And you know who's going to be blamed? Putin. Not NATO. No, 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 no. Not
Mm.
NATO's expansion towards Putin. At that time, Yeltsin. No. So some people will make profits, which is, as I said, energy sector, banking system, and arms manufacturing companies, together with the military-industrial complex. That's the way it is. And Europeans
Wow.
will have a worse life. Not only a worse life um, in a material way, because as I always say, the Europeans are like a fat, uh, like a pig in a farm, or a pig in the wild, a boar in the wild. Which one you want to be? The Europeans, we in the West, in America too, we are like pigs. We are getting food, whatever they gave us. Looks like food, tastes like food, smells like food, but that's not food. They give us this, we get fat, but we keep our mouth shut. But we live in a farm, we become soft. Soft, not as soft. And then at the Christmas time, the farmer comes, hey, piggy, 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 I'm gonna use you for bacon. And you get, boom, the poor. By the way, the guy on the farm, the pig on the farm, has no problems. Day and night, he's going to die when the farmer wants. The other guy, the boar in the woods, is going to be a little bit more skinnier. He's going to be facing dangers. He's going to eat a little bit less, but he's going to do whatever he wants. Which one you want to be? Now, some people, most people choose that one because remember, courage, you know, that's
Honest.
most important. You have to remember, give me liberty or death. That's lost. It's lost.
Mm.
So this is Europe. Europe is going to be it is more and more vassal state of the United States of America. Think about this: reciprocity in a friendship, in a equal friendship, in a equal terms. If you have military deployed in my country, I should have in your country. No, it's only unidirectional. The Americans have the other ones, no, defending the eastern flank of NATO. How about the western one? You have China over there, you have North Korea. Nobody defends the western flank, only the eastern flank. Anyway, it's just, I do not, and this is, I know it might sound outrageous. I do not discard, I would give about 5% probabilities and possibilities that actually the guys, on in charge of this, I would say, could be an understanding like after the Second World War between the Soviets and the Americans. The English did not matter at that time. They are bankrupt. They were bankrupt. They lost their colonies later. They lost the war. The Brits think they won. You lost the war, my friends. But anyway, so the same understanding could be now with partition of Europe as a sphere of influence. The Lebensraum, those bad guys in the 30s and 20s, Lebens living space. You need someone to work for you, and you're just a financier. What else do you want? Other people produce for you, but you want to make sure that those are your boys. They will produce only for you. And you decide when they will produce for him or him. I think it's a partition again of this. Why? I think the Russians reacted, and these guys cannot control it. They expected the Russians to collapse in 48 hours, as the Russians expected Ukraine to collapse in 2 weeks. Unless NATO got in. NATO got in, the whole thing changed. Ukraine would have collapsed in 2 weeks. That's my firm belief in information and knowledge I have on the subject. NATO said, we're going to go full in. That's things change. And now NATO has been NATO versus Russia. But again, lazy, slowly, like a toddler. They don't want to push too far yet.
Not yet. Anyways, so Emil, I thank you so much for your time. I would like to quickly discuss one last topic, more from a future perspective, right? So I would like to go into the pursuit of truth because you mentioned it in the early part of the show. You said you've spoken about the tragedy of life being when men are afraid of the light in an age of information overload, right? So you know this every day. We have hundreds of articles, videos, all kinds of things, and universal deceit, as George Orwell said. How can people find the truth, and why is that pursuit so important now more than ever?
It's always been important. The problem is now we are allowed to think more than before because we have easier lives, I would say right now. The information is right there more than before. But it's this. I recommend a book called Propaganda by Jacques Ellul, a French writer. And when I read books, I underline whatever I find interesting or write on the side of the page and so on. That book is all a line. Like you have to memorize the whole. I never had a book like that. So
Wow.
Jacques Ellul, Propaganda, 1962 or 1964, and he says this:
I should read it.
in the tyrannical societies, the information is like this. They give you three things, and that's it. And you have time to analyze them, or the information is just like this. You have time to analyze it and to figure out at one point who's lying. In the West, in the free societies, you are bombarded with so much, you are flooded with so much information, you don't have time to figure out which one is telling the truth. You don't have time to verify. Look, for instance, at watching news. The segments are 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, they give you 20 pieces of information, one after another. Your brain just sucks it in without saying, whoa, 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 whoa. You told me that. Is that true? You don't have time because they come with the next one, and that kills the other one. But the subconscious stores that information. And then you wake up and say, yeah, man, I think that's true, man. Why? You didn't have time to sit down and take them one. It's a flood of information right now. Truth. Why do we lie? We lie because we are weak and we are afraid of consequences. Why are we weak? Why do we lie? When do we lie? We are, hey, did you do that? No, it was Gigi. Why did I say that? I was afraid of consequences. Or I lied to get ahead of others in order to be better, to pretend I am what I'm not. So you're a fake or a liar, and you're afraid. You need courage. You need courage. You have to tell the truth. That's why everyone, if you want to solve a problem, you have to analyze the situation objectively. Take all the pertinent information to the issue, analyze it, find a solution, and then implement it. And then again, bring it back and tweak it. You might not win the first time. You do it again and again. But intellectual integrity is very important in order to sort out things and understand things, find patterns. patterns in behavior, in statements. And once you find the dynamics, you understand. If Trump tomorrow tells you that he is a monk, you will be starting laughing. Why? Because you know that he cannot be a monk. Why? Look, and so I'm, you know, by the pattern created, but you have to
Mhm.
memorize, pay attention, and be objective. You might love Trump, but you understand that he is a PIJ regarding that issue. That's his life. So truth is very important and always been important. The problem is before telling the truth, I think it was more dangerous than maybe in the 1960s, 70s in America. I'm talking about because right now the
Mhm.
political correctness destroys this, destroys lives. This is, I can call it economic terrorism.
Mhm.
If you go to a job and you say something true, but it's politically incorrect, you might lose your job. Your children might not have food. So that's why they fire you. They could fire you after, reprimand you. So you
Mhm.
need to tell the truth if you want to solve problems. And I don't know, that comes from infancy. But as an infancy, you have to have parents. They were infants as well. So who triggers this? The society, the elites? Why would the elites want you to be truthful? You're going to call them out. I don't know
Indeed.
if I answered the question. Maybe
That
I don't
that
know.
that does answer a lot. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful, deep reflection, to be honest. Um, so, looking ahead, what gives you hope for the future? Do you see it is a very, momentous time. I think we've never been closer to a direct confrontation with Russia, personal opinion, because we're so close. So in the back of my head, it bothers me that we are not in good talking terms with them. It really does. So where do you see a real, something that gives you hope? For American future, European future, do you still see something in culture and society that is, let's say, giving you moments to reflect in a positive way? Let's say.
I think it's going to be enclaves, enclaves of countries. Let's put them this
Mm-hmm.
way. A lot of people, including me, I liked Trump. Past tense. It's not that I don't like him because I like certain things about him. I didn't like. If it was by my standards, Trump would not have been a president. None of the U.S. presidents would have dared to even close to being the leaders of this great nation and country, and the leaders of this Western civilization. We like it or not. So these
Mm.
guys, I think they didn't cut it. But we have them, and we have to work with them. They have the attributes, positives and negatives. But Trump has a big ego, and it's very dangerous when you have a big ego. I read an
Correct.
article today that he's upset with how his hair looks in Time magazine. So what are you going to do? I know I come from Romania. I was under the communist system. I know what happened if Ceausescu, the dictator, would have looked in Scânteia, the newspaper, one of the few that the Romanians had, full of lies and exaggerations. If that he would be portrayed too fat or too something, you would be in bad shape. This guy has the same tendencies.
Mm.
It's going to be enclaves. Russia has its own, from some perspectives, has good instincts, tendencies. The West, as it is right now, is very shaky, very shaky. They can legally ban terms, individuals, label, create new labels, or not labels, but categories. Let's say national security dude. There is, and let's say Emil is a national security dude. Why? Because he doesn't like this or that, and they can do it legally. They did it to others, very important people, and it's very shaky in the West. It easily can go to a Europe is way ahead on the tyrannical sphere. The Americans are not there yet, but
Mm.
in Europe, I don't know about how to put it, ban speech, criminalize speech in Great Britain, in England.
Yeah,
If you are
it's
insensitive
crazy.
or deny a historical event, but only one in Germany, in France, in most Europe, denying the or so on. What is this? As a free human being, if I'm really free, I should be able to say whatever I want. I understand there are some constraints. Don't incite to violence. Don't. I understand, or certain kind of,
Mm.
But if I say tomorrow there's moon doesn't exist, I don't lose my job. I don't lose anything. But if I say, well, in the Second World War, I think that's a little problem over there. I don't think it was quite like that. You can go 5 years in prison. But we are free human beings. Is this the society we want to create? I think this is the wrong way. And that's been for a long time, not only in Germany. So free speech without truth and the courage to tell the truth, there's no democracy. If I'm afraid to say, well, this guy is a bad dude, I don't think he's right, and without being afraid of the repercussions from telling the truth, we're in bad shape. And Europe is, I'm afraid to fly to Europe. Not, I don't try to put myself as, oh my God, I'm very important, but I know certain things that I do not share with my friends, my subscribers, my viewers, and Europe is very, very dangerous ground. Legal apprehension is not. I'm not talking about abuse. It's going to be signed by a judge. The same here. Same here. It's going to be enclaves. Hungary is an enclave. Opposes these guys in Europe to a certain extent, but then agrees Netanyahu to visit, and Netanyahu has an ICC court warrant, and Hungary was a signatory of the Rome status of the ICC court.
Mm.
What is this? So it's and I don't know, is it the more information that we have, or is just that these guys accelerated into the ground so much they don't care really, and they have the audacity to say, oh, these guys, the Russians aggressed. What have you been doing, United States of America, in the past 34 years? You want me to remind you, it was Yugoslavia, 1999. It was Iraq. It was Afghanistan. It was Libya. It was Syria. It was Iran. And now Ukraine. And you're talking about aggressing? I mean, it's so hypocritical. Then this is told by actors in the media, mainstream media, who lost control of the internet. Internet must be not banned, controlled by these guys. Otherwise, the population will learn more and more and more, or just ban certain voices that might inform them about certain angles on the society.
Is that how you got into their list? I hear that you had some issues with your YouTube account. Did Is Zelensky really asking for your? So he's watching the show, I believe. And the baboon.
I don't know. Well, the thing is,
What
I
would you
don't.
say to him if you were to see him, mano a mano, and say, Zelensky, man, you need to chill, or you say, yo, you gonna watch yourself?
Wait,
What
wait,
would
wait,
you
wait,
say
wait.
to Zelensky?
I need more. I need more on the context. Who am
So,
I, and what consequences can he have against me? Like Gonzalo Lira
so
kind of consequence?
no, no, just if you were Zelensky's advisor, what would you tell him? Would you tell him to negotiate, or because he's obviously calling for your banning, and he's calling for Sebastian Sass's banning as well. So he must have seen your videos. Something is setting them off. What do you think that is? The truth, obviously.
I I don't think he saw watch my videos. I know that the Ukrainian security services, they watch the propaganda, they watch, and I'm already past there. Like, oh, this baboon is really over there. He's got an audience. He's got already. So they know, and probably they say there's certain people. I don't think he knows my name or he watched my video. I don't. It's zero point whatever percent
Hmm.
to that. Now they don't like me. They don't like what I'm telling because they don't want that to be heard. So it could be Tom Jones, Michael Jackson, and Elvis Presley saying the same thing. He would like to ban them. Is the ideal. That's why the guys in the Middle East will not win, because those guys have ideals. You can eliminate, but you're not gonna
Excuse me.
eliminate the ideal. Regarding what I would tell him, I think anything I tell him, it doesn't matter. Really. If I would be his advisor, I would say, continue what you're doing, pack your bags soon, don't fall with the airplane, get your millions or billions and go to London. whenever things get heated. But as of now, continue to follow the orders. You're doing great. You are a piece of material here in the name of these guys, and that's it. That's if I were to look at his own interest, I will tell him continue the garbage you're doing. If I would be me and say, what am I supposed to do, man, Zelensky? Can you look what disaster is over there? What can you do? I don't think he can do anything because once he's doing something else that he's supposed to, I think he's going to have an airplane crash, helicopter crash. He's going to be dying of natural causes. He's going to have a mini stroke, heart attack. I don't know, things like this. I can't tell him anything. He has to. He got the tiger by the tail. You can't do anything.
So there's nothing he can do. Oh my
No,
God.
no,
I
he's an
think he's
old
beyond
guy.
redemption. Zelensky, if you're listening, you're beyond redemption,
Have you
my
seen
bro.
Zelensky before this war started? Have you seen his face and the way he
Oh my
acted
God.
versus now? Uh,
Oh,
when he was serious before, not when he was a comedian, a serious.
no, no.
And now, I do not think Zelensky functions as. I think he's in order to continue with what he's doing, he needs to be under certain kind of stimulants.
Yes.
But it doesn't make him good. Like, oh my God,
No.
is the stimulants? No, he agreed. Like Trump, they agreed before they got the job. They agreed to this is what you're probably going to need to do. They were not told, hey, it's going to be Russia. They're not stupid people. They have interest, and unfortunately, the interest will harness you, will own you entirely. It's hard to get out of this kind of situation. I think Trump is under my personal assessment. He's under a lot of. He's scared. I think he's scared to death for his family, and that's what I think about. And the other guy the same way. They can't back up. They have to do what they're doing. Otherwise, they will,
Damn. Wow. That was a fantastic chat. Well, Emil, thank you so much. Uh,
thank you.
Bringing back to our audience, I will quickly share the screen again, just so you know. Emil has two books out: God's Nature, 21st Century Critical Analysis of the Judeo-Christian God, Volume 1. And then there's another one, A Better Society We Should Create: Viable Options and Solutions Needed to Create a Better Society. This can be found on Amazon, on your local Amazon. I hope you give it a read. I hope you watch the show, enjoy the show. If you follow Emil, good for you. You're informed. He will give you his opinion every day, and you will get to see the Red Baron once in a while. If you don't know
Yes,
what the Red Baron is, you better find out.
yes.
You should go subscribe to Emil. But thank you so much for your time, Emil.
Thank
This
you
was a
very
fantastic
much.
conversation. And I hope we can do this again. And I hope we can
Always.
come back to it. Well,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Emil. I
Thank
wish
you.
you a lovely evening.